Today on our show, we bring you the biggest price prediction that we have ever heard in crypto. Guys, we've heard a lot of price predictions in our time here, but this one is huge. But it does come with a bit of a warning. Remember I came to you like a week ago and I said that there's one chart that we should be looking at, and I'm not sure that we are all looking at. One chart that controls the future of Bitcoin and crypto. Well, that chart is facing a warning, and I'm going to talk to you about what that warning is and how we should trade it. And speaking of charts, there is one alt chart that is going to the moon, and it hasn't even started. And talk about going to the moon, Grayscale is aping into new alts. And whereas that may be a good sign, or may seem like a good sign, I'm going to show you why today that may not be such a good sign. And then Coach K brings you his pre-listing gems. We love this segment, this prestigious picks with Coach K. Today, he brings you a pre-listing gem that you can actually get into. And then guys, how many of you have been Bitmex rekt? Well, today we're going to show you someone who has been Bitmex rekt, badly Bitmex rekt. I'm Crypto Man Run. I come to you each and every day at 10 a.m. EST. And I bring you crypto love and crypto wisdom. And together we are building the most profitable, biggest, fastest growing community in crypto at the moment. I come to you every single day. I wake you up in the morning with crypto love. So if you are in Los Angeles, wakey at 7 o'clock, the markets are flying. Well, especially if you have been trading some of the alts that we've told you to trade. And we're going to hold ourselves to account today. Guys, we are building a magic channel here for you. All you need to do is one thing. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell. And I want to thank you guys for doing this yesterday and the day before. We are getting somewhere with YouTube because of you guys. Really, all you need to do to help us. Fred, show them how much help we need. All you need to do to help us get out of the shadow ban is like, subscribe, and share. If you share, then YouTube knows this is not one of those giveaway videos and whatever else, and we can get out of the shadow ban and we can bring you more and more content. Anyway, let's get on with the show today. Fred, let's get on with the show today and talk about a big price prediction that was made. This is a huge price prediction. I've never heard a price prediction like this. Have a listen to this.
Where do you think it's going?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Of course, we can only speculate, but when you measure it in terms of dollars, you have to think it's going to infinity, right? I mean, this national currency is only 50 years old. It's already showing extreme signs of weakness, and I think pretty soon people are going to start measuring the price of things in terms of Bitcoin, and I think the true believers will tell you that it's going all the way to the moon, to Mars, and eventually, will be the world's currency. So.
When was the last time that you heard a price prediction that is going to infinity? I remember when John McAfee made his price prediction, and he said that Bitcoin will hit $1 million in 2020, or he will eat his on public television. Fred, do you remember that? Show the guys the video.
John McAfee want to eat your own dick. It's that you believe in the power of Bitcoin, so much so that you'll put your dick on the table, chop it up, put it in your mouth, swallow. If Bitcoin does not.
If it doesn't reach at least $1 million by the end of 2020.
What if God forbid?
All right, so Bitcoin didn't hit $1 million by the end of 2020, and John McAfee, I think he landed up in jail. And I don't even want to think who's eating who or what's eating what in the jail cell. But on a more serious note, we had this prediction from someone who is quite credible. Jesse Powell is the founder of the Kraken exchange. Kraken is one of the biggest regulated exchanges in the world today. In fact, they're raising money now on a valuation of $10 billion. And if you guys got that Bloomberg interview, if you guys had a chance to catch a peek at it, you would have realized that he said that even at $10 billion, he's not selling his shares. So we're seeing this kind of mania where people are buying into crypto businesses. Coinbase listing at $100 billion. I mean, that is huge, and we've spoken about it on the show. And now Kraken raising money, not for a listing, this is a pre-listing round, and they're talking also about a $10 billion valuation. But the most important thing that he said, he spoke about Bitcoin going to infinity or being priced in infinity. And initially, that kind of sounds like a crazy prediction. How can you say that something is priced to infinity? But if you think about it for just a second longer, you realize that it actually may happen. It's happened before. If you look back at places like Zimbabwe or Argentina, their currency basically devalued to infinity. This is a $100 trillion note. It's a real note. I've got several of these notes that I've kept because South Africa is the neighbor of Zimbabwe, and I grew up in South Africa. And I've got several of these notes. And what this shows is that a currency can go to zero. And if it does, then Bitcoin goes to infinity against that currency. It's happened in Argentina, where they had to restart their currency. It's happened in many other countries. It happened in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe restarted their currency again and again. And eventually now they're on the US dollar because people don't trust the Zimbabwean government. So why could it happen in the USA? Well, the USA is in a bit of a pickle. They're printing dollars like crazy. They're printing dollars because their economy is broken. For a year now, the economy has been closed. The man on the street, the restaurant owner, the barber, the people that are working in the small businesses on the street haven't been open properly for a year. And so the economy is at an absolute standstill. And what you've got is you've got the markets running like crazy. And the reason why that's happening is because the US government is printing and printing and printing money. What happened in Zimbabwe? What happened in Argentina? They got drunk on printing money. Because you see, when you start printing money, like the US has done in the last year, you can't stop. Imagine if the US didn't print the latest stimulus of $1.9 trillion. What would happen? The economy would shut down. People wouldn't be able to eat. So they have to keep printing, and they have to keep printing, and they have to keep printing. And what happens then is that the warning sign on the chart that I showed you the other day, and I said to you guys, I want to show you a chart. That is the most important chart for crypto at the moment. And that chart is, of course, the 10-year treasury yield. And I said to you that when the 10-year treasury yield rate goes up, it's a big, big, big warning for crypto. And that chart has sounded the warning bells again. So for those who didn't listen to our show the other day, let me remind you why this is such an important chart. The 10-year treasury yield is the rate at which the US government borrows money to fund its spending. So if the US government wants to print stimulus, it needs to fund this. And it does this by selling bonds or selling treasury notes or selling IOUs. And what happens is when they flood the market with bonds, investors say, hold on a second, you're printing too much money and I don't want to buy your debt because I'm not sure that you can repay it. And the only way that they can entice people to buy their debt is to increase the rate that they pay. So if they want to borrow more money, they need to increase the rate that they pay. And this rate is known as the 10-year treasury yield rate. It's a loan for 10 years. So why is it such a big warning sign? Because when the 10-year treasury yield rate goes up, people start putting more money into bonds and less money into risky assets. And we saw this, and I raised a warning for you guys last week. And then today, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't know if you guys noticed the Bitcoin chart. Fred, call up that 9 o'clock in the morning Bitcoin chart. So that was the 9 o'clock in the morning Bitcoin chart. And you can see that we were tracking heavily above $50,000. And at 9 a.m., all of a sudden, we got this huge drop in the Bitcoin price. It dropped over $1,000 in just a couple of minutes. What happened? Well, take a look at what happened to the 10-year treasury yield chart at 9 a.m. Does that give you any clues? Guys, we have to watch out as to what's happening on this 10-year treasury yield rate. And especially because Joe Biden himself came out and said that he doesn't expect life to go back to normal until next Christmas. And if that's the case, then the US is going to have to keep giving us stimulus. Now, you may say that, well, if the US keeps giving us stimulus, investors should run to the safe haven assets like gold and Bitcoin, because that's logical. Run into the scarce assets like gold and Bitcoin to protect yourself from this US money printing. And in theory, that's right. But unfortunately, at this stage of the game, Too few people see Bitcoin as a safe haven, as a speculative asset. And for as long as that's happening, then investors are going to start going onto what they call risk off. And risk off means that they start selling what they believe is risky assets and they put it into what they believe is a safe asset, which is the 10-year treasury yield, because they believe that the government is safe enough to pay its debt. So what are we doing? Well, for one, we are watching the 10-year treasury yield rate every single day. And if we see this thing spikes, we must know that there's going to be some turbulence ahead. Yes, we agree with Jesse Powell that if the US keeps printing money, then Bitcoin is going to infinity. And it can go to infinity. So it sounds like a crazy thing. Like, yes, it's going to infinity, but it can. Like it went with the US dollar, with the Zim dollar. The Zim dollar went to infinity. Guys, that note that I showed you, Fred, call up that note again. That's a real note. It's $100 trillion note that the Zimbabwe government printed. And if you had Zim dollars at the time, your money was devalued. The same thing is happening in the United States. Don't think that it can't happen in the United States. It can. So what are we doing? We are watching the 10-year treasury note chart every single day, and we're doing something else. We are taking profits. Remember my cashometer. Remember that clock that I made for you guys that showed you how much money I had in the market and how much money I had in cash. Before the correction, I gave you guys a big alert. It was at 35%. The cashometer said, warning, 35%. That's the most money that I would keep in cash anticipating a correction. 2 days later, the correction came and we started to deploy our money. Remember, we started to deploy our money into various 10x gems that we believed were quite safe. Remember, we told you guys, if you believe in the network effect and you have a thesis and you believe that these coins are going to get the network effect, well, then you can invest in these coins and you should use these dips to invest in these coins. And whereas my cashometer was on 18% at the lowest, I told you guys that I'm deploying money into a couple of altcoins that I believe are getting the network effect. Coins like Arweave. Fred, call up the chart for the 23rd of February for Arweave. On the 23rd of February, I told you guys to buy Arweave. Arweave was at $5.80. Yesterday, Arweave hit $16. Today, I think it's trading at somewhere around $14. If we are confident in the network effect of the tokens, then we use these dips for buying because we're going to keep getting these dips and we're going to keep buying the coins that we believe in. I also told you on that day, I said to you, let's buy EGLD. Why? We love the EGLD community. We love the Elrond community. They're getting the network effect. If you would have bought that call on the 23rd of Feb when we told you to buy it, you would have made almost 100% on that call alone. And on that note, I think we should still be buying EGLD, and that's what Coach K is going to show us today. On the charts, Coach K is going to show us about why we should be buying EGLD and another big gem, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. And the last one that I told you to buy on that day was, Fred, what was it? Of course, it was Luna, baby. We love this token. Why? Because they're getting the network effect in payments. No token on the planet has the network effect on payments like Luna does. And they keep announcing new ways to use their Terra and Luna currencies. They are creating the network effect. They're building this ecosystem. And so I told you to buy it. And if you would have bought it, well, you would have been about 60% up in just the last week. Now I'm telling you that since we've made these profits, it's time for us to start taking money out of the ecosystem again. We've made 90%, we've made 150%. It's time to start getting some cash on the side that we can use in case the market goes down again. Yes, we may not have all our money in crypto, and we may give up on some returns. But you can see that when the dips come, we can buy these coins cheap and we can make returns like 100% in less than a week. And there are other tokens that I told you to buy that have done more than 100%. And so what I'm saying to you now is, I told you that at the lowest point, my cashometer was at about 17% or 18%. Now my cashometer is on 20%, which means that 20% of my non-HODL portfolio, obviously my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, my DOT, my Cardano, and my Link, and my Arweave, I'm never selling. But 20% of all my speculative money is now sitting in US dollars or USDC. Whether you hold USDC or USDT, that's up to you guys. But 20% of my portfolio is now on USDC. So, guys, we believe that Jesse Powell is absolutely right. We believe that Bitcoin is going to infinity. But in case the market goes down, A, I want you to preserve some of your profits because there's a mania out there. And B, I want you to have money to buy the dips because you'll make so much more money buying the dips like we did the other day. We made 100% since the 23rd of Feb, at least, if you followed the calls. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking those profits. One place, though, where I'm not sure I'd be taking profits is on this altcoin gem. You know I love this altcoin gem. Look at what Coti is doing. Coti is starting to moon. We've been calling Coti on the show since 3 cents, 2 cents. And we've been saying we don't understand why Coti never moves. Well, Coti, guys, has started to move. It's gone from 2 cents or 3 cents. It's now trading at about 26 cents. And this chart looks like it's about to explode. This may be your last chance to get into this project. Why do I say that? Well, Coti is one of the few projects in the space that actually has real adoption. So yes, they're a payments gateway or a payments provider, but they have real adoption. They're doing north of $20 million a month in payments processing. They also developed the Gavi, which is the VIX indicator. And yesterday, they announced that they've got a way for people to use Apple Pay to buy Coti. So you can kind of see what they're doing. They're building this bridge between the real world and the crypto world. And they're doing it in a very seamless way. So let's talk about what they did a few months ago when they launched this debit card. It wasn't just a debit card. It was a debit card that was linked to a bank account where you could store your crypto assets and your normal assets. And so they're bridging payments from the virtual world or from the crypto world and the real world. And this is one of the projects that actually does have real traction doing this. And so we've been calling it and we've been calling it and we've been calling it. And now it started to fly. And Coach K is going to be on the show in a few minutes and he's going to chart for you where he thinks this is going. It's going to fly, guys. It's going to fly. This is one of the most talented teams, high brain power teams. They keep delivering. They keep delivering on their roadmap. And I kept saying to you guys, I don't know why the market isn't giving Coti the market cap that it deserves. And now the market's starting to pay attention. So if they're paying attention, we're paying attention. We're holding on to our Coti bags. Holding on tight, friends, holding on tight. We're going to hold on until we go to the moon. Let's get on to the next story. So how many of you have been Bitmex rekt? Come on, guys, tell us the truth. How many of you have been Bitmex rekt? How many of you guys put money into Bitcoin, into Bitmex, traded on their leverage products in 2017 and 2018, and mysteriously, every single time that the market went down in big moves, the Bitmex algorithm crashed, and you couldn't place your trade? So what happened? Most people were liquidated, and so they came up with this phrase called Bitmex rekt. Bitmex is a derivative exchange. It was started by Arthur Hayes, and it was the biggest exchange on volume for a long time. And people used to take or still do, take leverage positions on this exchange. And so the prices used to go up a lot. So if you don't know what a leverage position is, it's when you take, say, a 10x leverage position. If the asset goes up by $1, your position fluctuates by $10. And so if you think about the swings in Bitcoin, and say Bitcoin goes down $1,000 and you have a 10x leverage, you'd lose $10,000. And that's the problem with Bitmex. They used to go down, and we used to get Bitmex rekt. We used to buy, and as the market used to crash, we used to try and close our positions, and they would have a technical issue. And we would get Bitmex rekt. You would get Bitmex rekt. Guys, if you were Bitmex rekt, smash the like button. Leave me a comment here. I want to see how many of you were around in 2017 and actually got Bitmex rekt. So, you know who's now getting Bitmex rekt? This guy. The guy that I saw on stage in Taipei with Nouriel Roubini saying this. Fred, put on that video.
Regulations.
There definitely are regulations. We are regulated by the Financial Services Authority in the Seychelles. Now,
How does
maybe
that compare with the
US-centric Roubini who thinks maybe the New York DFS and New York AG is the only game in town, and we need to bow down and take an ass fucking from the US government just because it's regulated. Now, I don't know if that's really not my game. I didn't really want to sit on bottom bunk with Bubba all day, so I got out of that situation. So I don't think that just because the U.S. does something that everybody else needs to follow.
No, but you will understand that in the scale of global regulation, the SEC New York, the regulatory authorities in London or in Frankfurt are on a slightly different scale than the regulatory authorities in the Seychelles.
It just costs more to bribe them.
Costs more to bribe them.
Yeah.
But that's not really an answer, is it?
It is an answer. What do you think?
So how much are you?
Banks?
So how much are you paying to bribe the Seychelles authorities?
A coconut.
Yeah, Arthur Hayes is an ex-banker. He started Bitmex. He became a billionaire very soon. He was a young billionaire. I think he was a billionaire when he was around 31. And he was riding the wave. And he became arrogant because of all the money that he made. And then what we knew would happen, people warned about this. He was allowing US citizens and even non-US citizens to trade on Bitmex without doing KYC. And that was just some of the things that he was doing. And he was living the dream. He was making billions of dollars while a lot of us were getting wrecked. And then the New York Attorney General, the FBI, got hold of him, and they issued a warrant for him for his arrest about 7 months ago. And he's been on the run for about 7 months. And yesterday, we got some court papers that show that he is effectively going to hand himself in. So they say, I'm not going to read you the court papers. We will leave them on our website for you guys to have a look at. But what he says is, his counsel says that he will surrender himself sometime before April to have a hearing, but he wants to surrender himself in Hawaii. Either way, what this means is that even Arthur Hayes, the most arrogant guy, the guy who was living the dream, we knew this would happen. And now he's been Bitmex wrecked. And my feeling is that he may just land up doing some kind of prison time for what he's done. Remember, he's been on the run for about 7 months. So this is a huge story. And I guess it teaches us that we've got to be humble. You can't, just because you're making a lot of money, now start pointing fingers and thinking you're above the law. Because we know the New York law, Bitfinex, we know that Bitfinex, the US law's got a long arm. And even though Arthur Hayes is in Singapore or in Hong Kong, he's now going to surrender himself to the US authorities. And that, for me, is the ultimate in being Bitmex wrecked. Alrighty, let's get on with the show. I've got another big story for you guys. But first of all, let's quickly have a look at the number of likes we have. We have 1,800 of you watching, and we got 400 likes. Guys, smash that like button. I've got 2 big stories for you with big altcoin calls. I've got Coach K waiting in the waiting room with some big altcoin calls for you guys. You don't believe me? Hold on a second. There he is. He's waiting for Coach. Review it. We are just waiting for the likes. We want to break that YouTube algorithm. We want to tell them we don't want to be shadow banned anymore. All right, so guys, we've got Coach K in the waiting room. Big calls for you guys. I'm also going to show you why Grayscale buying a new altcoin may not be the best thing in the world. And Grayscale they're aping into a new altcoin. I'm going to show you what that coin is. And then I'm going to warn you about buying this coin, because it's not what you think. We typically say when Grayscale buys something, they're the biggest buyers in the market. They buy for institutions, they buy for high net worth individuals. And we know that when Grayscale go buying, Bitcoin price goes up. And when Grayscale goes buying, the Ethereum price goes up. And now Grayscale are aping into a new altcoin. But I don't think that this is such good news. And I'll show you why in a second, or just as soon as you guys give me the 1,000 likes that you promised me. I see we're on 600 likes. Come on, guys, smash it. Let's tell this algorithm that we don't want to be shadow banned anymore. And while you guys are smashing the like, I want to remind you that tomorrow is Friday. And you know what we do on Fridays? Fred, what do we do on Fridays, man? On Fridays, we banter, and I've got a massive banter for you guys tomorrow. I've got Elio Trades coming. I've got Mr. Biz coming. I've got Coach K coming to I've got Winston Wolf, and I'm going to try and get Kyle Chassis as well. So, I mean, guys, where else can you get so many guests, especially for Friday afternoon banter? Smash that like. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Let's tell this algorithm that this is good content. We're going to bring you more and more content. I've got some aces up my sleeve for next week. But now I want to tell you why I think this is a bad thing that Grayscale is buying this new altcoin. So for those of you who don't know what Grayscale is, if you have been living under a rock, Grayscale is a company that establishes funds or trusts which buy crypto assets. And then they list the shares of this trust so that you can trade the shares of the trust. So effectively, it's a way to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. They used to do XRP, but they delisted XRP, obviously, like everybody else. But this is a way for you to get exposure to the Grayscale, to the crypto market, without actually having to hold your own keys, without having to hold the crypto assets, without having to sign up at Coinbase. So the man on the street buys the shares on the Grayscale Trust as a way of getting exposure to crypto. And up until now, the man on the street has been paying a big premium to buy Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's trading at, say, $10,000, the man on the street would pay a premium because they'd be buying the shares in the Grayscale Trust. And this is called the Grayscale Premium. And I want to show it to you. Fred, show us that the Bitcoin Grayscale Premium. So that's the Bitcoin Grayscale Premium. What you can see on this line is that for as long as we can remember, investors who want to buy Grayscale Trust shares in the Bitcoin Trust were paying a premium of up to 40%, which means that they would own the same Bitcoin that you and I own, but they would be paying up to 40%. And there was a big trick here, because accredited investors, smart, rich investors, according to the SEC, could buy the Grayscale Trust at net asset value, at the value of the Bitcoins. And 6 months later, they would get their shares and they would dump their shares on the unaccredited small investor, and they would make the premium, and they would rinse and repeat, and they would rinse and repeat, and they would rinse and repeat. Some of them even borrowed money from BlockFi or from Celsius. They borrowed Bitcoin, gave them to the Grayscale Trust, got shares, took the shares, waited 6 months, and then dumped those shares on the retail investor and made huge premiums. They did this on Ethereum. Fred, call up the Ethereum chart. In the Grayscale Trust, the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, you can see that people paid sometimes up to 8 times the value, 800%, 8 times the value of the Ethereum in the trust to own the same Ethereum that they could have owned if they just bought Ethereum. Guys, this is true. This has been happening. For the first time, a week ago, for the first time in 5 years or 3 years, the Grayscale Trust went negative. Let's look at what that actually means. Fred, call up that chart that shows us how much Grayscale is buying. No, not that chart, the other chart. Okay, so that is what Grayscale have been buying. Guys, this is the most important part of the show. You can see that in the last week, Grayscale haven't been buying Bitcoin. In the last 30 days, they've only bought 7,000 Bitcoin. What does that mean? It means that Grayscale is no longer buying Bitcoin. Why is Grayscale no longer buying Bitcoin? Because there's no more premium. So the accredited investors aren't buying, because remember, accredited investors can buy at the actual value of the Bitcoin, and unaccredited investors have to buy those shares at a premium. Now that the premium's gone, Grayscale's not buying anymore, which means the accredited investors who were making this money by dumping their shares on the retail investor are no longer making a profit. In fact, they're losing money now. So they're losing 3%, and they have to repay their loans, which they've held for 6 months. This is a big warning sign. The same thing's happened on Ethereum. Let's look at Ethereum. Fred, let's call up that chart again. So let's look at the table with the actual buying. So the other one, the black table. All right, so let's look at what happened on Ethereum. They bought in the last 30 days 243,000 Bitcoin. But in the last 7 days, Ethereum, but in the last 7 days, they've only bought 3,500. And in the last 24 hours, they actually haven't bought anything. They've sold. Why? Because the accredited investors can't make the premium anymore, so they don't want to buy Grayscale, Bitcoin and Ethereum. What are Grayscale buying? Grayscale have gone all in on Litecoin. Guys, look at their buying pattern for Litecoin for the last couple of days. They have gone all in on Litecoin. Why? Well, the answer is simple. Fred, let's call up the Litecoin premium. Right now, unaccredited investors are paying accredited investors 14 times the value of Litecoin to buy Litecoin. There's a Grayscale premium of 1,400%. So what are these accredited investors doing right now? They are borrowing money and they are investing it in Litecoin at $184, and they're buying and they're putting it into the Grayscale trust. And so Grayscale is starting to buy Litecoin. And they hope that they'll carry on making this 14x profit by selling Litecoin that is worth $184 to unaccredited investors like some of you for 14 times the value of Litecoin. Guys, be careful of this. Please, I'm begging you. I don't want you guys to get burnt. Look at the premium before you buy any of the Grayscale products. And that's why I'm saying, right now, Grayscale is all in on Litecoin. And they're not buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so I think this whole Grayscale spree of buying may be over, because a lot of people were buying to dump on the retail investors at a profit, to rape the retail investor, to charge him 400% profits on buying Ethereum. And they're doing it now on Litecoin. You can see, Fred, call up that chart again. Let's see how much, no, not that one, the black one. In the last 30 days, Grayscale have bought 141,000 Litecoin. In the last 7 days, they have bought 40,000 Litecoin. In the last 24 hours, they've bought 1,500 Litecoin. Look at that compared to any of the other majors, where they haven't been buying at all. There is a major shift in the market, guys. It's a massive shift, because these guys are going to have to repay their loans. And now, instead of making a profit, they're actually making a loss. So, net, what I want you guys to do, don't buy the Grayscale Litecoin product on the open market. If you want, go and buy the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones, because you're getting it at a discount of 3 or 4% to the market value of Bitcoin. And that actually may be not such a bad trade. But check the Grayscale premium, because that Grayscale premium is super, super, super important. You don't want to pay 14 times the value of Litecoin. And when people tell you, but the Litecoin premium's been there for a long time, don't fall for that. The Litecoin premium is going to go down, just like the Bitcoin and the Ethereum premium went down. 5 years later, guys, for 5 years, these investors were milking poor retail investors. They were selling Ethereum and Bitcoin to them at huge premiums, massive, crazy premiums. Look at that. Look at those premiums on ETH, 800% at some points. But now now it's changed. And now retail investors are buying this at a discount. Cool, so I've had my rant. It makes me mad. It makes me mad that the US has these rules that say that just because one investor is richer than another investor, because he has $1 million, he is an accredited investor, and therefore he can buy things that normal people who may be much smarter but just haven't made money can't buy. And they've done this for so long. You know, the SEC should just approve an ETF, because then we won't get these stupid premiums. Guys, please don't buy the Litecoin Grayscale product. You are going to be paying 14 times the value of Litecoin. Stay away. I'm protecting you guys. I'm protecting my community. All I want you guys to do is smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash that bell button so that you know when we're coming on. Because now I'm going to bring in our friend. And I want to know from you guys, do you want to know his prestigious pre-market pick first? Or do you want to talk some charts? And if you want to talk some charts, other than the Coti chart, I want to know what you guys want charted. So let's go into the comments. Do you want the pick first or do you want the chart first? It's not up to us. It's not up to us. It's not up to us, Coach K. Coach K, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you? It's been a really busy week.
Doing amazing.
It's great. I love it.
A lot of your calls have done magic. I've been part of your calls. Today, I must say, today's pre-market pick, holy moly. Holy moly. I mean, I read what this was about. I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
All right, so Fred, what's the vote looking like? Chart, pick,
What are we looking at?
Chart. All right. Coach K. Coti
Okay.
chart. Coti.
We want a Coti chart.
Is
Coti
it going?
chart. Oh, I got to share it with you. Sorry, one sec. Is Coti going to say it again? Moon? Was that the question?
Moon, yeah. Monsoon? Coti, monsoon?
I would say that this is already mooning, honestly. I called it way back when it was much cheaper. But
Hester Purse. I don't know why Fred's done such terrible things to you. He's called you
horrible. You hate me, Fred. Fred, why?
Alrighty, let's have a look at the Coti chart.
All right, so let me just zoom in a bit. So basically, I called this way back. I think it was even on your show, maybe a month or two ago, probably longer than that. I noticed that we had this double bottom, and I compared it to Ren. How I saw Ren had a very similar type of double bottom with a really long extension, and brought it right back to the same starting point. And then we dropped lower, and we had like this diversion right here. And as we were coming back up, I started feeling confident in Coti. I think I called it on your show around here, around 240. On the retest, probably somewhere around there, maybe some other point. I can't remember exactly, but it's looked good since we got down like way down to here. I was looking at buying it. So I actually had Coti at like 217, 218. And then, and then it does.
Right? You're talking about 217, 218 Satoshis.
Yeah. So I bought it like around here on that double bottom. And it did go up to just a little bit less than my level. And then it dumped down here. So I got out and then I got back in before this huge candle, like right as we got into the cloud down there. I think I said it on your show. We hit like the rule of five where we tapped the same level 5 times. And then we started to move. Then we forgot about it, honestly. You were saying, oh, it never gets above 400 or 300 or something.
Yeah, it was actually less than that, but yeah, it was about 7-8 cents, which is, I don't remember what the Satoshi equivalent was, but 7 or 8 cents. Coti could never break 7 or 8 cents until it did, and now it's tripled.
Yeah. So what I would say, like for the levels to look for with weak levels of resistance, I say weak because there's not many touches off them. I mean, it's only been up there once, but we're looking at, this is going to break and hold above here. We would look to rebuy on that retest around 530. So we'd look to, I'll just zoom in and show you the play here. If you're someone who's new to trading and you're trying to figure it out, when I talk about the retest, we're talking about it goes above this line. And then it retests, then we would enter and we'd have target number 1, target number 2, target number 3, target number 4. And why would those be targets? They're just areas that we've had resistance in the past or areas that have been relevant. I mean, this one really isn't that relevant. None of them really are because we don't have a lot of history. It's not like the same thing as when we go back here and we see so many times it's touched, so we know. Really, this could just go and smash through all 4 of them pretty quickly like Binance did. So just be weary of that. So Coti, there's a lot of fundamentals going around that are supporting this TA going higher. So I would say, yeah, look for that retest and get in.
I love it when fundamentals and technicals align because then there's like a double whammy. So fundamentally, here's a project with real world adoption, launching the debit card. Behind the debit card is actually a very fancy bank account. You can buy Coti using Apple Pay. They've launched Gavi. They've got $20 million in payment processing a month, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And this project is trading at a market cap of $175 million. There are projects that have 0 and are trading at a much higher market cap than that. And that's where the fundamentals and the technicals align. Coach, let me ask you another one. EGLD. What do you think of EGLD? Because that's another one that we called. And for me, it looks like EGLD moon soon.
On BTC, yeah. I mean, you just look at that chart, it's just screaming like all I need to do is break a little bit higher. So when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that it's reclaiming this Tenkin. I don't really like it on the daily on Bitcoin just because we've had a bearish TK cross here, but everything else still shows pretty good. That could just hook right back up. But we broke that downtrend. It's kind of hovering. We've held this 21 EMA. So let me just zoom in a little bit closer for you guys to see. So this 21 EMA, we've held above it. We've tested it. We've gone above that. And then we have our Kijin. This here, you see the green cross the red. That's what I don't really like. I'd rather the green above the red, which is bullish. So on that side, not so great on BTC.
You wouldn't be buying it. You wouldn't be buying it.
What?
You wouldn't be buying it.
Not there on BT. Well, I want to check USDT because I look at both just to see. And sometimes I can get like mixed signals. So what I'm seeing here is in the next couple of days, because this is a predictive Ichimoku, actually just had a bearish TK cross right here. So we're seeing bearish signs on both charts, but I'm also seeing bullish signs. So it'd be more of one of those times where as a trader, I would either I'd make a judgment call saying, you know what, I like the way the volume's starting to increase here. Maybe I'd look to a lower time frame. So let's see how it looks on the half day. Let's see how it looks on the 4 hour. Yeah.
While you're quoting up the half day, Fred, why don't you come around and wave to the guys? The guys are saying that you're imaginary, that you're my alter ego. So come around and just wave.
I've talked to Fred in real life.
We're going to keep Fred anonymous, but I do want to show you that he's a real person. So let's do this. Let's just remove that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That's Fred. See, there's 3 hands. That's Fred.
He's real.
Fred, go help us with the slides, Freddie. Freddie is real. Alrighty. Coach, what are you looking at? Are you looking at any altcoins? Is there anything on your radar at the moment?
There's just a couple. Like, I mean, I trade on a macro level. So for me, it's pretty simple and easy. I've talked about ICX quite a few times. I've been just watching it moon and then kind of retrace back. I've been talking about EWT from before this huge candle happened. I think there's lots to come, and I got that idea mostly from looking at the all-time high, which broke. So I'm looking at those two right now. Obviously, keeping my eye on Ren. It's had like a nice dip, but it's kind of consolidating a bit here above the 21-day EMA. It's had a tap off the Kijin. So I'd like to see it break out and then probably go and finish this actual same trade that you have right there as well. So that would be a good opportunity.
Before we get into coaches picks, remember that tomorrow we have a big banter. Fridays we have a little bit of news, and then we have a lot of banter, a hell of a lot of banter. And tomorrow I've got some big guests for you. I've got Elio, and we're going to talk to him not only about Super Farm, but also about his other stuff. We got Mr. Biz. We know you like Mr. Biz, and you can see that I've put Elio in between Mr. Biz and Winston Wolf because I want to keep them apart. I think it's going to be a great banter. I'm also going to add on some more people. So whatever you do, hit that bell and that subscribe button so that you know when we're coming on. Tomorrow is going to be our biggest banter ever. I promise you that. And tomorrow there's going to be a lot of calls in that banter. And if you haven't listened to Elio and if you haven't listened to the guys, tomorrow is a big chance. Coach, let's get into the money here. And the money is your pick for
the prestigious pick.
The prestigious pick. That's the coin that 1 or 2 or 3 coins that Coach K chooses, which are before market. And typically, if you can, some cases, you can get them before they get onto the market. Because we want to bring you stuff first. The whole idea is he who gets the information first wins. And if you've been listening to our daily banter show, you'll realize that we break the news first. Doesn't matter what other channel you listen to, we always break the news first. And I'm going to tell you why. I've got a big announcement for you guys. I'm just waiting to sign a contract. But as soon as that contract is signed, we've got a huge announcement for you on Banter, taking it to the next level, taking it absolutely mainstream. Who knows? Maybe we're even going to be back on CNBC. Who knows? I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give anything away. Coach, let's talk about your prestigious pick for the day. I must tell you, wow.
Did you look into it? Is it the first time you saw this one?
You asked me if I invested. I said to you, I haven't even heard about it. You sent me the mix. I read what they do. I was like, this is so basic. Why hasn't anybody done this and done this? This is the next level of bridging real world, and crypto.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what this actual pick is. Coach K, love your pick. In fact, no, hold on. I need some likes.
How many likes do we have?
1,000. Come on, give us another 100, guys. Come on, 100 likes. Let's break the shadow ban once and for all. Let's break the shadow ban. Let's tell YouTube that we want our show back. We want to control our own data. We want to keep protecting you. All right, let's go. Coach, what is the call?
So the call is convergence. I don't know if some of you have maybe heard of this before. Convergence finance. I actually got introduced to this one from the guys over at DuckDAO. So they were just like, yo, man, this is really cool. I think you should have a look. I was like, all right. I looked into it. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, we need this. I'm a big fan of OpenDAO. I've invested into that. It has similarities to that for sure. And you know, I'm a big fan of Orbit, which is also trying to do similar things, bring real world assets on chain. I was like, okay. And basically they're just taking like secure, like here's a simple thing. People ask me all the time. Do they ever ask you, Ren, why are there no security tokens? How come no one's ever done them? Are they ever going to become relevant? You ever asked that before?
Yes, of course. I mean, security tokens have been a big disappointment, and that's because no one knows how to get these securities onto a blockchain.
No.
Yeah. So are you going to tell the guys what they do here, or am I going to tell them?
You want to tell them? I can walk with you through it if you'd like.
All right, tell us what these guys actually do.
So basically, the number one problem, maybe I'll just interview you. What's the number one problem with security tokens right now? Why aren't anyone doing them?
Because no one knows how to tokenize real world assets.
Okay, that might be one of the other, but what's the main reason? Like, what's the main reason markets move?
Liquidity.
Yeah. And so because no one has you have the two problems, no one can bring it on chain really very easily. And, you know, there's no way to actually get liquidity into these. So what's the point, right? You might as well just do an IPO. So Convergence is doing something which is a little bit different, where they're like, well, we have DeFi and we can wrap assets. Well, if we take real world assets and we wrap them, could they be worth something? Oh my God, light bulb. And it was like, okay, I can now tokenize a house, stocks, you know, buildings that you own. You can tokenize those. You can tokenize pretty much anything that you could do the movies. Like, I mean, I'm sure if these guys and LCX would probably be really good partners for each other, right? So I see that there's tons of opportunities here that no one's really tapped into. And their whole thing is like making these liquid. Also letting you, you know, for an IPO, letting you trade before the IPO even opens. So they're kind of like the Globe DX where you could pre-IPO. This is pre-IPO, not pre-ICO. So really cool, like pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, let's scroll down because I saw an amazing a graphic that shows exactly what they do. Okay, so that's the graphic that I wanted. No, just go one up, a little bit up.
One up, yeah.
Stop, here we go. So what they're doing is they're taking real world assets, they're wrapping them into a wrapper. So, you know, like when you play in DeFi and you want to bring Bitcoin onto the Ethereum blockchain, what you do is you wrap it and then you create a wrapped token. They're creating wrapped tokens out of real life assets. And then they are using DeFi protocols to allow liquidity for these DeFi assets. And that is the brilliant part. So yes, of course, wrapping of real world assets, we've heard about. Creating of synthetic assets, we've heard about. But what no one else has done well is actually create liquidity out of real world assets. And this is where I got excited about this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
No, I'm excited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought you were going to go further than that. Yeah. Like I'm really excited about it. I like the idea of just taking something that's real world. This is very similar in a lot of ways to what OpenDAO is. So I saw that really early. I got in really early. No one was even doing ICOs or private sales at that point. And I just saw like they have a background in real estate. They know, you know, about the industry. They've worked in blockchain and worked with the SEC in Australia. So that's why I went and OpenDAO. Then I saw these guys, Convergence, and I'm like, wow, this is like solving the why I said it's going to take 5 years for STOs to actually do anything, which was 2 years ago, maybe almost 3 now. And the problem is, as someone who's a trader first, I'm like, where can I make money? Right? Because that's like your most important thing is, can I make money doing this? Or there's no point in me wasting my time. So I go in, can I make money? Well, STOs, everyone's like, oh, STO is this, STO is that. And I'm telling them, well, yeah, but I'm not excited about that right now. And they're asking me, how come you're not excited? And I say, well, honestly, like, what's there to be excited about?
So I see we've got a comment here by Ed Delaray. Ed, you're asking, how do you guarantee access to real world assets? Well, that's the big billion-dollar question. So
Yeah.
in some countries, you can take ownership of the transfer deed. So for example, if you own a house or a building, the transfer deed gets wrapped up in a smart contract. And that's one way of doing it. The other way is to get people in that country to take transfer of something and for them to guarantee it by staking tokens. So there are many ways of doing this. Coach, let's get to the numbers. Let's get to the, what are the tokens? What are the token metrics? What are the raises? Where can people get in?
I don't have the token metrics on hand. I can probably dial them up somewhere, but I'd like to go over just like who's involved with this project, because I think that like one of the really big metrics a lot of people don't focus on are like the who's involved in the project. So they have obviously DuckDAO we know of, but they've also got Hashed and Alameda and GC Ventures. So these are like not small time, VC funds that are kind of like, back of your mom's porch type of VCs.
Let's look at who the investor are. Okay, Hashed. Hashed is the biggest investor in Korea. Smartest people in the world. They launched Luna. They launched the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Alameda Research. I think we all know Sam Bankman-Fried. Neo Global Capital. Those are the guys. Tony and the gang from Neo Global Capital. Kinetic, which is Jihan Chu and his gang. DuckDAO. These are big investors. This is a massive project. Coach, is there any way that people can still get into this, or where can they get? Is there a white paper?
There's a light paper on their website. They don't have a white paper that's available readily right now. But that's just kind of, here's the thing I get a lot from people. They're like, well, how do you know what to go into? And I'm like, there's an element of risk with all of these guys. It's just like when you go into a farm and you don't know if they can rug pull. This is not something that's going to rug pull based off who's backing them. So we already know that they're checked out that way. But, anything can happen, right? So you have to be someone to have a little bit of risk appetite to know when you go into any of these public sales, they could go to zero. There's a lot of projects I invested in 2017, 2018, and that just never gave my tokens and they just disappeared, like Orca Alliance, right? So they disappeared. This is the risk that you take. You take the risk, but you get the reward. One of the ones that I want to really just quickly touch on that I think is going to be really cool. Yeah.
Guys, we talk about risk. The risk is most of these are actually going to go to zero. We just don't know which ones are going to do the 1000x. Also, remember that today you've got hypermentals or pumpermentals, which means that if you invest $1,000 and the thing does 80x or 90x or 100x or 400x like paid network, you'll have $400,000. That's the return. But on the risk side of it is that you put your money in and the market crashes tomorrow. And then everyone says, hey, we don't want anything to do with this. Fred, people are asking for a link, so we'll give them a link in the chat and in the YouTube comments. Coach, you wanted to say something.
I don't remember what I was going to say, to be honest, right now. Oh, another project. Sorry. So we have BSC View that's coming out. These guys, basically, a lot of people who have been using Binance Smart Chain and know that this show is also focused a little bit more on that. I've been kind of playing around a lot more with PancakeSwap and getting comfortable with it. And that actually started with BSC Pad. They created BSC View. So this is going to come out. You guys can get in. It's still like way before they've even told anyone you can get in. So even I'm not even in this one. So I'm just telling you guys, like, completely transparent. I'm not in this one yet. I want to go in this one because I think it's like the DEX tools for BSC. And I think that's actually very much needed as someone who just used it as a trader. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm literally just blindly going, yes, I'm going in or not. It's pretty crazy.
I'm laughing because we actually showcased the project on our show in the last 2 days, which is called BSC Tools. And that one launches on March 6th, another one of these. So a big race on the BSC chain. We love this. The BSC chain is an amazing chain. This is where all the action is. All righty, Coach. Love you, my friend. We all love you. Community loves you. Guys,
Love you
give
too.
Coach some love. Let's give Coach some comments, some thank yous, some likes.
Go join
Fred-
my channel. Don't be shy to go join.
What
guys
we'll
can do
do,
that.
we'll leave a link to Coach K's channel. We'll leave a link to Coach K's channel in our description so that you guys can see Coach K. Coach, we will see
Tomorrow.
you again tomorrow. We love
Yes,
Friday.
sir. I'll be there.
Fridays we banter. All righty, guys.
I'll be there.
That's me
All right.
and Coach checking out.
Thank
see
you
you
very
again.
much.
And
See you tomorrow,
coaches.
guys.
See you tomorrow, Mr. Friend.
Later.
Alrighty, so that's Coach. He's out. I'm also out. I'll see you again, same time, same place, tomorrow, where we are going to have the biggest banter ever. Hopefully, with your help, because you've shared this video, because you're right now smashing the likes and the subscribes, YouTube won't ban this video, and tomorrow we can have a massive banter. I'll see you again tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. If you are trading, trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.